We're here with our second episode of our YouTube channel, which is still to be named. For now, it's The Catcher's Mom, but we don't know what we are going to name it or rename it. We are here to discuss a very important topic that seems to keep coming up, and that is child growth. And that's because we have a small child named Ivan who is 10 years old and is 5'1", and you and I are not very tall. And so a lot of people wonder how that's possible and what we're doing with him in order to support his growth as much as possible, what it is that we're doing. People are very interested, especially people with kids that play sports. They want to know how they can support their child's growth. That's one of the main reoccurring topics on my page, especially because they see that your son is a little tall. Talk to me about what factors determine a child's height, for example.
You have to hang them from their feet.
Got it. At what point do we do that?
As soon as possible.
When they're born?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. No. Just do what your mom tells you all the time. So, you ready?
My mom?
Everybody's mom.
What?
This is life hack, right? This is a life hack. Okay?
Always do what your mom says?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do they tell you all the time?
Drink milk?
I'm just gonna get an each dollar look.
Sit up straight.
That's it. Now, thank you for being with us in this second episode. Just have your kid do that and be taller.
Work on their posture?
Right now, yeah.
Got it.
No. The theory I have, aside from all the other things that you can do to maximize the height potential of your kids, is that during your pregnancy, we went 100% paleo as far as the way that we eat. Now,
what does that mean?
well, you have a group of people that is really hardcore paleo. To me, paleo basically means eating things that are not processed, things that are in their natural form. And that's the biggest difference that I see between Gael, Ivan, and his sisters, for example.
Okay.
During your pregnancy, we ate everything fresh. We had a lot of seafood, we had a lot of beef, a lot of fruits and vegetables, and everything was cooked the day off. Ivan is basically a paleo baby. If you go back and look at skeletons from the time that people were eating the paleo way, their height is a lot taller than skeletons that were found from people that had already introduced grains and flours to their diets and stuff like that. Their teeth were better. They just were healthier overall. I think that has a lot to do with it. Aside from that,
so my diet during my pregnancy.
Yes, because you're gonna see why that makes sense. Now there are things that parents can do now to maximize the high potential of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just go through the normal growth rate of humans. So from the time that we're 1 years old or babies are born through puberty, the growth rate is about 2 inches of growth a year.
Okay.
From puberty on is about 4 inches, and usually everybody is different. So some people are gonna stop growing sooner, some people are gonna stop growing later, but usually more or less the age where people stop growing is about 18 to 20 years old.
So I have no hope.
No. Now, there are factors that can affect that growth rate, and one of them is genetics. Okay? To a certain extent, genetics are going to be either It's going to be either a limiting factor or it's going to be something that's going to, allow you to reach your growth potential. There's a set of hormones that can affect the growth rate as well. The first one is human growth hormone.
Okay.
Growth hormone is produced by the pituitary gland. It has a big role in growth. Another one is the insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. And that hormone is produced by the liver. And the other one, the other factor that affects height is the thyroid. If the thyroid is not producing enough hormones, that's going to stunt the person's growth. Now let's start with the growth hormone. Okay, let's talk about what can create a growth hormone deficiency. There's a mineral that if the body is deficient in, that can create a deficiency in growth hormone, and that mineral is zinc. If you have a zinc deficiency, that can decrease the amount of production of growth hormone that the body has. Zinc is a trace mineral. It's involved in a great amount of chemical reactions in the body. What creates is zinc deficiency. Zinc deficiency can be created by consuming too many sugars, refined carbohydrates, caffeine, phytates, and I'm gonna go into what phytates are in a little bit, stress, and not eating enough red meats or shellfish. Phytates are found in seeds, nuts, legumes, and cereals. Now, if you think about what kids like to eat for breakfast, for example, cereals are very, very popular. They've done studies and they found that in a normal, balanced diet where there's not when you're not consuming or over consuming cereals or seeds or just phytates in general, phytates are actually beneficial for the body. Now, if you consume a large amount of phytates in an unbalanced diet, these can cause they can cause nutrient deficiencies. Now, the reason why they cause a zinc deficiency is because when you consume too many phytates, these bind to zinc. Not only to zinc, they bind to iron, magnesium, and copper, which when you have these binding to all these minerals, the body cannot absorb those minerals. And so that's what causes the deficiency in growth hormone. It's very important for parents to kind of just push the kids to have a balanced diet. When I talk to my clients about things like juice, cereals, or foods that are usually the easiest to grab on the go and give kids, and I tell them that we usually don't have any of those at home, they look at me funny because it's like, well, why not?
What do you give them?
Like poor kids, and what do you do? Why are you keeping your kids from eating those things? Because I know better. I know better, and the kids know. We teach our kids how to read the nutrition labels, and they know what amounts of sugars per portion size are correct and what are good and what are bad. And they know what happens when they consume too much refined sugars, because they feel this. They feel the sugar high and then they feel the crash. You know, it's something that for me is important for them to learn right now, because right now they're able to make their own choices based on consequences. That's something that we stress about everything they do. If you make a good choice, then you're gonna have a good consequence. If you make a bad choice, then there's gonna be a bad consequence. And so they're learning how to pick the things they eat, and we let them choose. We don't force our kids to do anything. We teach them, we give them the information necessary, and we help them make a choice. If they don't want to work out, I'm not going to force them to work out.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want to have a healthy snack, I'm not going to force them to have a healthy snack because they know better.
Mm-hmm.
So if you force someone to do something, especially kids, they're going to do the opposite. And so we don't. We just give them information and we let them make the choice. Going back to phytates, it's because they decrease the ability of the body to absorb these minerals.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to have an overabundance of phytates in the diet. If you have a balanced diet, in the studies that I've gone over, they found that they have healthy effects. They can be they can have an antioxidant effect, anti-cancer, and they have the potential of reducing pathological calcification of the arteries, the plaque buildup in the arteries.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when you don't consume too much of them. Let's go over to other things that can affect the amount of growth hormone that your body produces. Is not eating enough protein, not enough sleep, and sleep is huge because when you're sleeping, that's when the body repairs the damage that we cause with working out or just in general. When you're sleeping, that's when growth hormone is doing its job. And so if your sleeping is not adequate, then your growth is not going to be maximized to its potential. Now, another thing that can affect the amount of growth hormone that your body produces is obesity. If you're overweight, the body naturally is going to produce less growth hormone. Secondhand smoke can affect the amount of growth hormone that your body produces, and a lack of vitamin D3 can also affect the amount of growth hormone that your body produces. So let's move on to the insulin like growth factor number 1, or IGF number 1. Of the amount of that your body has can be affected by an unhealthy liver or fatty liver. And usually people develop unhealthy livers due to the high consumption of refined sugars, refined carbohydrates, like high corn fructose syrup. Mm-hmm. That's one that everybody knows. When you consume, things that are over processed or that have a high concentration of high corn fructose syrup, mm-hmm. and you have those every day, then those can produce, or they can cause people to have an unhealthy liver. The next thing we're going to talk about is thyroid gland. Now, let's talk about what causes problems with the thyroid gland. The most common one, and this happens in infants, it's deficiency in iodine. When the body doesn't get enough iodine, that can cause problems with the thyroid gland. This is mainly in like small children and teens. Now, iodine is found in seafood, shellfish, sea kelp, and table salt has it's fortified with iodine as well. The things that you can do to help your kids get taller, maximize their high potential, is their nutrition is not as balanced as possible. Then you have to make sure that they get enough zinc. Having red meat, shellfish. You can have a routine where they get enough sleep. If they're not out in the sun between the hours of like 10 and 2, then I will supplement their nutrition with vitamin D3 and K2.
Okay.
Now, the combination vitamin D3 and K2 is very important because if you just take vitamin D3 without K2, the body is not gonna absorb as much as possible.
You need a combination of both.
So when you just take vitamin D3, the body is not gonna benefit from it as much as when you combine it with vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is you can think of it as a helper for vitamin D3, and when you take those two combined, vitamin K2 actually helps the calcium that is going through the blood. It can help you avoid getting a buildup of calcium in the arteries, and it gets that calcium, it transports that calcium into the bones and the teeth. You get a lot more of the benefits from D3 and K2 together than just taking one. It's very important for parents to understand that, you know, teaching kids what to eat, what not to eat, why is sleep important, is gonna help them make better choices. There's a ton of times where our kids ask us, why do we go to sleep so early? And I always tell them the same thing, which is the truth. It's like, well, when you sleep enough, everything that needs to get repaired gets repaired. But not only that, you have better attention the next day at school. Your concentration is better. Your attitude is better. So yeah, you might sacrifice half an hour of staying up and reading or watching TV or playing, but you're gonna feel better the next day. So if you do all these things, you're helping their health. You're helping them be better overall, healthier kids, happier kids. It's something that at the end of the day, it has a lot of benefits. And along the way, you're teaching your kids how to eat better and how to take care of their bodies better. If you do that right now, the problems that they're gonna face later on as far as deficiencies or health problems is gonna be less.
How do you navigate those struggles in the grocery store? You just don't take them? Do you take them anyway? Or, do you not take the kids and just do the grocery shopping by yourself to avoid all of that? Or what do you do? Or what if your kids are used to eating a ton of sugar right now, and now you realize, okay, I'm causing more damage than I am good? How do you scale back, or what do you do to change the unhealthy habits that you've created? Can you do that all in one, like in a snap, or should you do it gradually? Or what's your insight for a parent that's trying to change the way that they eat, which I'm assuming you're also telling parents you have to change the way that you eat as well. What do you tell your clients?
When it comes to grocery shopping, kids are always gonna see what their friends are eating, and they're gonna wanna mimic those habits, or they're gonna eat whatever their friends are eating. So when we go to the store and they ask for a snack that I know is too high in sugar or is too processed, I have them read the label. I ask them, they tell me, go through the label and tell me. First, I ask them how many calories and what the portion size, one portion size is. So they tell me that information. Then I ask them how many grams of sugar per serving, whatever it is that they're looking at has. And then we go to the ingredient list, and I ask them, okay, do you know what those ingredients are? And more often than not, they're not gonna know what the ingredients are, because they're not natural. And so they go, what? So, and then I let them make the choice. I say no, I tell them, I don't think we should get that. And I walk away and I tell them, if you want to get it, get it. And that's when it's funny how it happens, because if I say no, they say yes. If you just keep saying no, it's a back and forth, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. But when you actually let them make the choice, and they're gonna be responsible for either choosing the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, that's when they put it back and they get something else. Now, when it comes to changing eating habits, I always tell my clients that those changes have to be gradual. So pick one thing a week that you want to change. That can be replacing juice, for example, or sodas for something healthier. It might be green teas, or it might be just water. You can also introduce a healthy snack. It could be any type of berry. Berries are usually low in fructose, low in sugar, and so you can introduce that. So a lot of times when my kids say, "Oh, I'm hungry, can we get this?" I ask them if they have fruit. If they haven't, then they go and they get a bowl of berries, and then by the time they're done, they usually forget about whatever else they were asking for. You can introduce a healthy snack as well, but making small changes is gonna be more doable than saying I'm not gonna buy anything that has refined carbohydrates or high corn fructose syrup, or I'm just gonna get rid of everything, because then your body is accustomed, it gets used to that high and lows of sugar in the blood. So it's always better to make changes gradually, so that way the changes are gonna be permanent and not just temporary. It's always a matter of thinking of this as a long-term goal with small changes along the way versus a drastic change that is not going to be feasible to sustain. You got to think about the long haul. It's something that you want to do because you want to improve the quality of life that you have and your family has, and you want to increase the amount of years that you're going to be around your family and your kids. At least that's what I think about. Personally, I just want to be around as long as possible for my kids. So if you think about that instead of the instant gratification of like, I like how this tastes, without thinking about the consequences, it's important to think about how you look at the changes that you want to make and the reason why you want to make those changes. And it's gonna be a little difficult at the beginning, but it's worth it in the long run. After a while, your palate is gonna change. You're not gonna crave the super sugary foods. The cravings that your body goes through are gonna be different. So anything that you do consistently is gonna become a habit, and it's gonna be more likely for that change to stay.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
You're welcome.
So are you saying there's hope? Like if someone has a 5-year-old and both parents are like 5'5" or something, are you saying there's hope with nutrition that child might be taller?
Well, yeah. I mean, genetics are huge, but the grandparents were taller than parents. The genetic potential is there. So you can also send to Russia. There's an operation where they elongate bones.
Thanks.
I mean, it just depends how motivated the parents are. It boils down to motivation.
Motivation.
Yes.
Thank you.
So just don't forget to whatever they say,
like and subscribe and share.
And share.
Share this information. So
share the singer.
Share the video and just share it. Will you just share it, guys? And then stay tuned for the next one. Ask questions if you have questions. Make sure to drop them below or DM me on Instagram and let me know what your questions are or what follow-up discussions you want to have about this. I think we should probably talk about what a balanced meal looks like for a child, how many grams of protein, how to determine that for your kid.
Lots.
Maybe at one point you can, I don't know, talk to us about that protein shake that you make in the mornings and what you put in it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And also, I have another really important question.
No, that was asked for you
No,
to answer.
come on.
No.
How do you stay married for so long
That's a good question.
and you're still in love?
That's a good question. You should ask. You should answer that.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Why are you looking at me like that?
That's a good question.
How do you stay in love after so much time?
I just think about the long haul.
Oh my God. Like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah.